Last time on Batman, the Joker had escaped prison. Commissioner Gordon Chief O'Hara called Batman in to figure out what he's up to. Which they find out that the Joker was actually planning to rob a museum of its rare jewels, only because they didn't put him in the museum as a comedian, because they had a Comedians Hall of Fame exhibit on at the time. During the supposed robbery, Batman and Robin foiled the Joker's robbery courtesy of the utility belt, and as a result, the Joker decided to up the ante, or even the playing field, gets his own utility belt, and goes after Batman and Robin. The episode, of course, would end with Batman and Robin finding a clue that the Joker had supposedly given to Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara by throwing it through the window. They then deduce that he plans to at least attack an opera that is being performed tonight called Pagliacci, a famous opera clown. But they find out that the so-called clown that is singing is actually the Joker in disguise. The Joker then subdues Batman and Robin, along with the help of his goons, and plans to unmask them live in front of the TV. An interesting and definitely unique cliffhanger, as it's not in peril, but it's the idea of being unmasked, something I found to be very interesting, and it also fit in with Joker's sense of humor. As they unmasked him, now he's going to unmask them. We then pick up with the episode with, thanks to Batman's utility belt, they managed to get out of the jam that they were in, and the Joker and his goons managed to make their escape, courtesy of the Joker's utility belt. The incident has caused people to doubt whether Batman and Robin can really stop the Joker. This is later stopped when the Joker and his gang take over the news station, and the Joker gives Batman a clue about where not just his next crime is going to be, but what he's going to do, saying he's going to pull a switch, but not an electric switch. They also managed to deduce that the last word the Joker said before he got off the news was saying a clue to where he's going to rob, and that is he who lasts good. Alfred comes up with the correct grammar. He who lasts, no, one does not last good, or one doesn't last best, one laughs well. And of course they come up with that he plans that all the Joker's antics on the news indicates that they plan to rob this warehouse filled with masks, hence the blindfold. But they haven't figured out what the switch meant. As soon as they get to the warehouse, they find the Joker and all his goons in the warehouse, and a fight breaks out. The Joker and his goons escape, and Batman tries to stop them with his utility belt, only to find out that during the fight the Joker had switched his utility belt for Batman's, which means that whatever Batman threw out of his utility belt wasn't from his, but was from Joker. Batman is wearing Joker's utility belt. Humiliated after the event has really caused the public to really question the idea of having Batman. Yeah, this is like some episodes would tend to do this, I will admit. But let's get back to finishing the plot. Batman, of course, is trying to figure out what the Joker's next move is. Now, we, the audience, know because the Joker had announced what he's gonna do. Here, Batman and Robin then deduce that they plan to set a trap for him, but they are also scanning the Joker's utility belt, hoping to find a clue. Then, the next day, they're at the SS Gotham, planning to christen the ship. But of course, there is a moment where a civilian yells, "Why is Batman here?" when Joker's causing one of the biggest crime waves in the city's history. And of course, Batman tries to ignore it and moves on. The champagne bottle is then given to him to christen it, and, well, it's the Joker's mole that gives it to him. Of course, they don't know that they don't know it's her. Batman noticed something different about the bottle. He then gives himself a pill, saying to cure his headache, and says Robin needs to take one too. They then christen the ship, but when the bottle is hit by the ship, gas comes out and everyone's knocked out, and all the Joker's crew picks up Batman and Robin and take them to their hideout. They are then tied down, and Joker is once again on the air, and he plans to axe Batman and Robin's head off on live TV unless he's given the SS Gotham. Batman and Robin then jump up, saying, "No, Joker, you get launched right back to the pen." Joker is then confused as to how the hell are they, not unconscious, and it turns out that the pills that Batman and Robin took a special pill designed for have the gas not affect them. They then deduce what the Joker was up to because of the utility belt the Joker gave Batman, as it was way too exact. They then found a cork in one of the compartments and found paralyzing gas. But another thing that finally put a nail in the coffin for Joker's, plan, the bottle, was that he noticed that the bottle looked funny, as it was not discolored with age, considering it was a 49 vintage. As a result, a fight breaks out. And of course, Batman and Robin win the fight, tie up the goons, and stop the mole from escaping. And essentially, Joker and his crew are essentially sent back to Gotham State Pen. We then end the episode as two-parter with the Joker and Harriet saying Dick needs to go and play the piano right now. And of course, Dick turns to Bruce and says, "Do I have to?" And Bruce says the best line ever, "I don't know, Dick. I don't even sure Batman want to take on that job." And here we end the episode, ending with saying the next week's villain will be Mr. Freeze. Just like the previous episode, all the main cast makes their return. Batman and Robin and Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, still portrayed by Adam West and Burt Ward, make their appearance. Here I like that how they are coping with the public losing interest, or not interest, but also confidence in their ability to capture the Joker. And of course, Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon, of course, return, still supporting, Batman and Robin. The same with Alfred. Despite what you may think of these two being incompetent police officers or silly that they can't take on a super criminal, one thing I could always be proud of with these two is no matter what, these two always have Batman's back, no matter what. And that just shows not how much that they value, not just value them as actual members of the police department, but just how much that Commissioner Gordon has absolute respect and admiration for Batman, and no matter what people say, whether question his integrity, he's always going to have their back. So I really like that. And of course, Anne Harriet is here, but just at the very end of the episode, with, in my opinion, the bit that made me laugh. You can't help love Anne Harriet. She is just a great and fantastic character. Now, Cesar Romero, of course, returns with still very in the role, still with the energy, and I like how it's a little bit dark at the end there with the idea of axing Batman and Robin's head off on live TV. Don't get me wrong, the Joker will in later series plan to kill Batman and Robin in more gruesome and very dark ways, and I gotta admit that's kind of Joker. But here it fits more in something I definitely know the more modern take on the Joker would actually do. And of course, the Joker's undoing, of course, actually makes a lot of sense in the long run. And I like how as soon as he's apprehended, he makes this sort of laugh, but it's not his joyful laugh, almost like a sarcastic or just like angry kind of laugh. I can't explain it. Like I said, many of the problems from the original I had in the first episode of Joker is kind of still here. Except for the clue. No real clue really was given. Maybe a little bit too Riddler, but at the same time not. Joker would do this, take over the airways and announce his crime on TV. That's Joker, but it did feel a little bit like Riddler, I will admit, but not fully Riddler. It's enough to be Joker. The costume, again, I still have a little bit of concerns with it. I'll be straight up honest. But I can appreciate one thing about this version of the Joker that no other version of the Joker has yet to do. You see, in comics, Joker is so number one, he's at the top of the Gotham food chain, and he's considered the most notorious criminal. while the rest, and he's also overused. But here he's treated just like another rogue, which I like. Every villain on the show is treated like a rogue. If you're an arch criminal, you may be a part of a group of criminals called arch criminals, but that makes sense, because this episode, just like they did with Penguin and Riddler, they established that this is a villain Batman and Robin have gone up against before. I like how they do that. They establish that he is just another rogue. He has no special treatment. I like that. That's one thing I always would like about this version of the character. Now, anything else about this episode? Well, actually quite, yeah. I like how the episode still continues on with the Joker's overall plot. He's more bizarre and more bizarre and a bit crazy. And a lot of the things you'd expect from Joker are still here. Another thing I also want to point out with the Joker, or at least not the Joker, but what he's caused, and that's the public doubting Batman and Robin to take the Joker down. Something I found interesting. We've never gotten that with the other two villains, but here I guess it would make sense to stand out, and it does help make this second part of the two-parter really interesting. Instead of just being, just to fill up the time, they actually go take a different direction. I like the idea of it, and it also just shows just how dumb the people are. They put Batman and Robin on such high pedestals, but when it doesn't look like they can't do the job, they turn against him. Something I found to be rather interesting. I felt it was handled well, was written well, and it's an overall great episode. This, for me, really held. This two-parter is really another good debut, but I will still have concerns or problems with the overall look and appeal of how the Joker looks, but I can't deny that I absolutely like this two-parter. It's still good. These episodes are still engaging. And unlike the first two-parters with the Riddler just being another, it's not a hugely fantastical episode, just normal. With the second one slowly getting fantastical, this one is truly a special episode. And we are only going to get better with our next entry. So there we have it. The Batman is riled. The second part in the Joker's two-parter, another good episode, and a really good introduction to the Joker. Join us next time as we review the Mr. Freeze debut episode. Instant Freeze. So until next time, same Steven time, same Steven channel.